The Flash issue 139 is the first appearance of the Reverse Flash, aka Professor Zoom. The plot of the story begins with Dr. Walter Drake, a young brilliant scientist, develops a satellite that is able to not only travel space but time as well. Dr. Drake decides to put some of the current 25th century memorabilia with two noticeable items being a clock and an authentic Flash costume. Now, the problem begins when Dr. Drake realizes his horrible mistake in sending the atomic time clock. What's the problem with the clock? Simple. A nucleonic effect took on the clock, turning the atomic clock into a ticking nuclear bomb. So Flash, being the hero he is, and with his recent ability to go back into time like he did in issue 125, he volunteers to traveling back to stop the clock. Oh, and so you know, all he is using to travel back in time is a cosmic-powered treadmill and his super speed, of course. Fast forward to the year 2463, where Professor Zoom, aka Reverse Flash, is nothing more than a petty thief. Until that unfaithful day that the time-traveling satellite falls out the sky and Professor Zoom looks up and grabs the 25th century Flash costume, and with his intelligence, he is able to use the costume to acquire the Flash's speed abilities. Seeing how now Professor Zoom feels he will be unstoppable with his newfound speed ability, he sets his eyes on his long-time goal of stealing some indestructible metal sculptures that humans found on another planet. Apparently, only the wealthy are able to acquire them due to their rare nature along with their beauty. The wealthiest also have gone to great lengths to protect their artifacts. Finally, the Flash arrives in the year 2463 and begins his search of the atomic clock. As the Flash is zooming in and out of building in search of the clock, and a daily newspaper catches his eye, and on the very front page the Reverse Flash dons the cover as his crime spree spares. The Flash recognizes the situation and begins to hunt down Professor Zoom, knowing his time is limited to find and discard the atomic clock. The Flash begins to race around until he spots Professor Zoom, and the mother of all chases begin. Flash is barely able to keep up with Professor Zoom, but somehow he is able to just barely pass Zoom. He quickly attempts for a quick grab from the front, but to no use. Zoom had one on Flash. Zoom had a set of twin portable electro rockets attached to his back and was able to quickly turn them on for an extra speed boost, giving him the edge over Flash. Chasing the trail, the Flash locates Zoom's hideout and quickly manages to grab his electro rocket backpack and seemingly evens the odds. As a full-scale rumble of speed explodes, they both realize that they are evenly matched and neither can beat the other. While Zoom is gloating at Flash for his inability to defeat him, the Flash quickly thinks of a plan. With a blink of the eye, the Flash scoops Zoom off his feet and puts the pedal to the metal. The idea behind his plan is to use his speed to neutralize Professor Zoom's chemical coating so he wouldn't be able to use his super speed while at the same time protecting his own. Basically, beating the Reverse Flash into submission. With the Flash's smart thinking, he is able to defeat Zoom and reobtains his costume. He then begins his search for the atomic clock, which so happens to be in an elderly lady's house. While she is admiring her clock, at the very same second the Flash swooshes in, retakes the clock and disposes of it in the Arctic Circle within seconds of exploding. So all in all, the Flash saves the day again, but disposing the atomic clock and getting his costume again. He briefly revisits Dr. Drake to inform him of his success, and he also burns and disposes the Reverse Flash's costume to avoid another copycat.